What if the biggest reason your morning blood sugar stays high has nothing to do with carbs and everything to do with what your body's missing when you wake up? For people living with type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, or insulin resistance, mornings are often the hardest part of the day. You haven't eaten anything, yet your fasting glucose is already elevated. This happens because cortisol rises, the liver releases stored sugar, muscles stay inactive, and insulin struggles to work efficiently. Most people try skipping breakfast or cutting carbs, but that doesn't fix the root problem. The real solution starts with morning protein. The right protein foods eaten before or with breakfast can activate muscle glucose uptake, reduce liver glucose release, stabilize appetite, and improve insulin sensitivity for hours. Today, you'll discover 3 powerful morning protein foods that help lower blood sugar naturally, prevent spikes, and retrain how your body handles sugar from the moment you wake up. First on the list, eggs. If there is one morning food that quietly rewires how a diabetic body handles sugar for the entire day, it's eggs. Not because they are trendy, expensive, or exotic, but because they solve the exact problems that exist in the early morning hours. When you wake up, insulin sensitivity is at its lowest, cortisol is elevated, and your liver is actively releasing glucose into the bloodstream. At the same time, your muscles are still in a kind of sleep mode, not pulling sugar in efficiently. This is why fasting blood sugar is often high even before you eat, and why the first meal of the day can trigger a sharp spike. Eggs step into this vulnerable window and stabilize the system before it spirals. The power of eggs in the morning comes from their high-quality protein combined with natural fats, which work together to change how glucose is handled, not just how much insulin is released. When you eat eggs before or with breakfast, amino acids from the protein signal your muscles to become metabolically active. This activates GLUT4 transporters, the pathways that allow glucose to move from the blood into muscle cells without forcing a large insulin surge. In simple terms, eggs help your body use sugar instead of letting it linger in the bloodstream. Metabolic data consistently shows that a protein-rich breakfast centered around eggs can reduce post-breakfast glucose spikes by 30 to 40% compared to carb-heavy breakfasts, and lower overall insulin demand by 20 to 25%. From a nutritional standpoint, eggs are uniquely efficient. One large egg provides about 70 calories, 6 grams of complete protein, and 5 grams of healthy fat with almost no carbohydrate. 2 large eggs, an ideal morning portion, deliver roughly 12 to 13 grams of protein, which is enough to strongly stimulate muscle glucose uptake. Eggs also supply around 6% of the daily value of vitamin D, 10% of the daily value of vitamin B, 15% of the daily value of selenium, 5% of the daily value of iron, and meaningful amounts of choline, riboflavin, and phosphorus. These nutrients support insulin signaling, nerve health, energy production, and liver function. Because eggs contain virtually no digestible carbs, their glycemic index is 0, and their glycemic load is also 0, meaning they do not raise blood sugar on their own. What makes eggs especially powerful for diabetics in the morning is their effect on appetite hormones. After a poor breakfast, many people experience intense hunger just a few hours later, driven by rising ghrelin and falling blood sugar. Eggs strongly suppress ghrelin while increasing satiety hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1. This hormonal shift keeps you full longer, reduces cravings, and prevents the cycle of snacking that often leads to glucose swings. In practical terms, people who eat eggs in the morning often consume 300 to 500 fewer calories over the rest of the day without trying, which directly supports weight control and better A1C over time. Eggs also play an important role in liver glucose control, which is often overlooked in diabetes management. The liver is responsible for releasing glucose overnight and in the early morning, a process that becomes exaggerated in insulin resistance. Protein intake from eggs sends signals that reduce excessive liver glucose output and improve insulin sensitivity in liver cells. Over weeks of consistent morning egg consumption, many people notice their fasting glucose becomes more predictable and gradually trends downward. This is not an overnight effect, but a steady recalibration of how the liver responds to insulin. For diabetic nerve health, eggs offer quiet but meaningful protection. Vitamin B12 supports nerve repair and proper nerve signaling, while choline helps maintain healthy nerve cell membranes. Adequate protein intake also prevents muscle loss, which is critical because muscle is one of the largest glucose-using tissues in the body. Preserving muscle mass improves long-term insulin sensitivity and reduces glucose variability. Many people who switch to a protein-focused breakfast report less morning weakness, better balance, and improved physical confidence as the day progresses. Heart health is another area where eggs are often misunderstood. For years, eggs were blamed for raising cholesterol, but modern evidence shows that for most people, eggs do not worsen cardiovascular risk. In fact, eating eggs in the context of a balanced diet can improve HDL cholesterol and support healthier lipid ratios. The fats in eggs help slow digestion and stabilize blood sugar, which indirectly protects blood vessels from glucose-driven damage. This is especially important for people with diabetes, whose cardiovascular risk is already elevated. Eggs also support brain function and mental clarity, which matters more than most people realize. The brain plays a key role in regulating appetite, stress hormones, and glucose control. Choline in eggs supports neurotransmitter production and cognitive function, helping reduce brain fog and decision fatigue in the morning. A calmer, more focused brain leads to better food choices and less stress-driven eating, which further stabilizes blood sugar throughout the day. How you prepare eggs matters, but not as much as timing and simplicity. The best morning method is to eat 2 whole eggs either before breakfast or as the main part of breakfast. Boiled eggs, lightly scrambled eggs, or eggs cooked with minimal oil are ideal. Pairing eggs with non-starchy vegetables like spinach, tomatoes, or peppers enhances nutrient intake without raising glucose. Avoid cooking eggs with refined oils, sugary sauces, or white bread, as these additions cancel out many of the benefits. One important consideration is balance. Eggs are powerful, but they should be part of a rotation, not the only protein you rely on every day. Most people do well with eggs 4 to 6 mornings per week, alternating with other protein sources like tofu, tempeh, or Greek yogurt. If you have a known egg allergy or have been advised by your healthcare provider to limit eggs, this option should be adjusted accordingly. When eggs become part of your morning routine, the changes often feel subtle at first but meaningful over time. Fasting sugar becomes less erratic, post-breakfast spikes soften, cravings lose intensity, and energy feels steadier without crashes. Eggs don't force your body into control. They restore the conditions that allow control to happen naturally. And once muscle glucose uptake and appetite hormones are stabilized, the next protein takes things even further by improving gut health and liver signaling in a completely different way. That's exactly where we're going next with tofu and tempeh. Second on the list, tofu and tempeh. If eggs activate muscle glucose uptake and calm appetite early, tofu and tempeh go even deeper by repairing the communication system between your gut, liver, and insulin. Many people with diabetes focus only on sugar and carbs, but one of the real drivers of high morning glucose is poor signaling. Signals from the gut to the liver, from the liver to insulin, and from insulin to muscle cells. Tofu and tempeh quietly rebuild those pathways. They don't spike insulin. They don't rush digestion. Instead, they create a slow, steady metabolic environment where glucose can be handled calmly from the very first meal of the day. Morning is when insulin resistance is strongest and the liver is most active in releasing stored glucose. Tofu and tempeh intervene at this exact moment because their plant-based protein and fiber digest slowly and steadily. When you eat them before or with breakfast, amino acids enter the bloodstream gradually, providing the signal your muscles need to wake up without triggering a stress response. This supports GLUT4 activation, the transport system that pulls glucose out of the blood, without demanding large insulin spikes. At the same time, the slow digestion rate prevents sudden glucose entry from other foods. Metabolic observations consistently show that replacing a carb-heavy breakfast with tofu or tempeh can reduce post-breakfast glucose spikes by 25 to 35% and lower overall insulin demand by 20 to 30%, especially in people with insulin resistance or prediabetes. From a nutritional perspective, tofu and tempeh are exceptionally efficient morning proteins. Firm tofu, in a 3.5-ounce 100-gram serving, provides roughly 80 calories, 10 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat, and minimal carbohydrate, along with about 35% of the daily value of calcium, 15% of the daily value of iron, and meaningful magnesium and potassium. Tempeh, which is fermented, is even more nutrient-dense. The same serving size provides around 190 calories, 18 to 20 grams of protein, 11 grams of healthy fats, and about 8 grams of fiber, along with 20% of the daily value of magnesium, 15% of the daily value of iron, and B vitamins created during fermentation. Both have a very low glycemic index, typically GI below 15, and a glycemic load close to 0, meaning they do not raise blood sugar on their own and pair safely with nearly any breakfast. What makes tofu and tempeh especially powerful in the morning is their effect on the liver. Excess liver glucose release is a major reason fasting sugar stays high. Plant proteins from soy have been shown to improve liver insulin sensitivity, which tells the liver to slow down unnecessary glucose output. Over weeks of consistent morning use, many people notice their fasting glucose becomes more stable and less reactive to stress. This effect is stronger with tempeh because fermentation improves protein absorption and creates bioactive compounds that further enhance insulin signaling. Tofu and tempeh also have a unique advantage for gut health, which plays a direct role in insulin resistance. Tempeh, in particular, contains beneficial bacteria and prebiotic fibers that feed gut microbes. These microbes produce short-chain fatty acids that reduce inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity in both the liver and muscles. A healthier gut sends clearer metabolic signals, helping regulate glucose more effectively throughout the day. Many people notice less bloating, smoother digestion, and more consistent energy when tofu or tempeh becomes part of their morning routine. Another powerful but often overlooked benefit of tofu and tempeh is their effect on inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation interferes with insulin receptors and worsens glucose control. Soy proteins contain isoflavones and antioxidants that reduce inflammatory signaling without suppressing normal immune function. Lower inflammation improves insulin efficiency, protects blood vessels, and supports nerve health. Over time, this contributes to smoother glucose curves and reduced risk of complications. For diabetic nerve health, tofu and tempeh provide steady support. Magnesium helps with nerve conduction and muscle relaxation, while B vitamins, especially in tempeh, support nerve repair and energy metabolism. Better circulation from improved blood vessel function further protects nerves in the hands and feet. Many people report less morning stiffness and fewer nerve discomfort sensations when plant proteins replace refined breakfast foods. Heart health is another area where tofu and tempeh shine. Soy protein has been associated with reductions in LDL cholesterol and improved lipid balance. Regular intake can lower LDL by 8 to 12% and support healthier triglyceride levels, which is particularly important for people with diabetes who face higher cardiovascular risk. Because tofu and tempeh are naturally low in saturated fat and free of cholesterol, they support heart health without compromising blood sugar control. Tofu and tempeh also help regulate appetite hormones. Their protein and fiber content suppress ghrelin and support satiety hormones like GLP-1, helping you feel full longer after breakfast. This reduces mid-morning cravings and the urge to snack on refined carbs. In practical terms, many people experience 20 to 30% fewer cravings and steadier energy when they start their day with these plant proteins. Preparation matters, but it doesn't need to be complicated. The best morning method is to eat 3.5 to 5 ounces of tofu or tempeh, either before breakfast or as the main protein of breakfast. Tofu can be lightly sautéed, crumbled into a scramble with vegetables, or added to a breakfast bowl. Tempeh can be sliced thin and pan-cooked with minimal oil or steamed and seasoned lightly. Pairing these proteins with non-starchy vegetables enhances nutrients without raising glucose. Avoid sweet sauces, refined oils, or bread-heavy combinations that counteract the benefits. One important reminder is variety. While tofu and tempeh are powerful, rotating them with eggs and Greek yogurt keeps nutrient intake balanced and prevents boredom. If you have a soy allergy or thyroid condition requiring guidance, intake should be personalized. But for most people, soy-based proteins are safe and beneficial in moderate amounts. When tofu and tempeh become part of your morning routine, the improvements often build quietly. Fasting sugar steadies, digestion feels calmer, energy becomes more even, and insulin works with less resistance. These foods don't push your body, they support it. And once gut health and liver signaling are restored, the final protein completes the trio by strengthening digestion, calcium balance, and insulin sensitivity through fermentation. That's exactly where we're heading next with unsweetened Greek yogurt. Third on the list, unsweetened Greek yogurt. If eggs activate muscle glucose uptake and tofu or tempeh repair gut-liver signaling, unsweetened Greek yogurt completes the morning protein system by stabilizing digestion, insulin sensitivity, and gut hormones at the same time. For many people with diabetes, blood sugar problems in the morning are not just about carbs. They're about a weakened gut barrier, poor calcium signaling, and insulin that doesn't respond smoothly after the first meal. Greek yogurt quietly fixes these weak points, which is why it works so well as a morning protein food when chosen and used correctly. When you wake up, your digestive system is still slow, cortisol is elevated, and insulin response is delayed. Unsweetened Greek yogurt enters gently. Because it is strained, it contains high protein with very low lactose, which means it does not spike blood sugar like regular yogurt or milk. The protein digests slowly, sending steady signals to muscles and the pancreas, while beneficial bacteria begin improving gut signaling immediately. This combination reduces how sharply glucose rises after breakfast and improves insulin efficiency instead of forcing insulin higher. Metabolic observations show that a high-protein fermented breakfast like Greek yogurt can reduce post-breakfast glucose spikes by 20 to 30% and improve overall insulin sensitivity by 15 to 20% when used consistently. From a nutritional perspective, unsweetened Greek yogurt is exceptionally effective. 1 cup, about 170 grams, of plain Greek yogurt provides roughly 130 to 150 calories, 15 to 17 grams of protein, 4 to 5 grams of fat, depending on fat level, and only 5 to 6 grams of naturally occurring carbohydrate from lactose. That same serving delivers approximately 15% of the daily value of calcium, 18% of the daily value of phosphorus, 12% of the daily value of vitamin B12, and meaningful potassium and magnesium. Calcium plays an underrated role in insulin signaling and muscle contraction, helping glucose move into cells more efficiently. Because the lactose content is reduced, Greek yogurt has a low glycemic index, typically GI 11 to 14, and a very low glycemic load, making it safe even before breakfast. What truly sets Greek yogurt apart in the morning is its effect on the gut insulin axis. The live cultures in unsweetened Greek yogurt strengthen the gut lining and improve the balance of gut bacteria. A healthier gut reduces inflammation, improves hormone signaling, and sends clearer messages to the pancreas and liver. This directly improves insulin sensitivity and reduces erratic glucose release. Many people notice that when Greek yogurt becomes part of their morning routine, digestion feels calmer, bloating decreases, and energy becomes more stable throughout the day. Greek yogurt also strongly influences appetite hormones, which is critical for diabetics who struggle with morning hunger. Its protein content suppresses ghrelin and increases satiety hormones like GLP-1 and peptide YY. This keeps you full longer after breakfast and reduces the urge to snack on refined carbohydrates later in the morning. In practical terms, people who eat Greek yogurt in the morning often experience 25 to 35% fewer cravings and better portion control at later meals, which contributes to lower daily glucose exposure and improved A1C over time. For diabetic nerve and muscle health, Greek yogurt offers quiet but important benefits. Vitamin B12 supports nerve repair and proper nerve signaling, while calcium and magnesium help with muscle relaxation and contraction. Many people who experience early morning stiffness or weakness notice improvement when adequate protein and minerals are supplied consistently. Better muscle function also means better glucose disposal, since muscle is one of the largest glucose-using tissues in the body. Heart health also benefits from unsweetened Greek yogurt when it replaces sugary or refined breakfast foods. Its protein and probiotics support healthier lipid profiles and reduced inflammation. Fermented dairy has been associated with improved blood pressure regulation and better vascular function, both of which are especially important for people with diabetes. Unlike sweetened yogurts, plain Greek yogurt supports the heart without adding sugar stress to blood vessels. Greek yogurt also supports long-term weight control, which plays a major role in insulin resistance. High protein, low glycemic breakfasts improve satiety and reduce total calorie intake naturally. Over time, this supports gradual fat loss, improved insulin sensitivity, and smoother glucose control without extreme dieting. The best way to use Greek yogurt in the morning is simple. Choose plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt only. Avoid flavored, low-fat, or fruit-on-the-bottom versions, as these often contain added sugars that spike blood sugar. Eat 3/4 to 1 cup either before breakfast or as the main part of breakfast. You can add nuts, seeds, or cinnamon for flavor without raising glucose. Pairing Greek yogurt with eggs, tofu, or nuts further strengthens its blood sugar stabilizing effect. One important note is tolerance. Most people tolerate Greek yogurt well because it is lower in lactose. But if dairy causes digestive discomfort, portions should be adjusted. For those who tolerate it, Greek yogurt is one of the most reliable morning proteins for steady glucose control. When unsweetened Greek yogurt completes your morning routine alongside eggs and tofu or tempeh, the system becomes balanced and powerful. Eggs activate muscles, tofu and tempeh repair gut-liver signaling, and Greek yogurt stabilizes digestion and insulin response. Together, these three morning protein foods don't just lower numbers on a meter, they restore how your body handles sugar at the most vulnerable time of day. Better mornings lead to better days, and better days lead to better long-term control. If this helped you understand how to control blood sugar before breakfast, tap the like button and subscribe to Diabetes Healthcare for science-backed food strategies that actually work. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next morning routine that can change your glucose numbers naturally.